This T&I 32 is easily installed by removing the pentahead bolts. Each door has a wind stop. It is important to place these in place. To prevent the doors from inadvertently closing on you. Loosen the pentahead bolt on the low voltage enclosure to operate the enclosure's door handle. The relay is contained within an additional enclosure. To the relay, you will need a flathead screwdriver to open the locks. The enclosure also has a wind stop. Be sure to put that in place again to keep the door from swinging in the wind. Loosen the pentahead bolt on the cable access side. Again, place your wind stops in place. Lift the lid and place your stop in place to hold the flip-top lid open. The flip-top lid needs to be above open so it allows you access to the viewing windows for the contact positions. Alright, within these boxes are the BCTs that are mounted on these brackets. They come shorted during shipments. The shorting needs to be removed. The hardware associated with the BCTs are both in here. There are two sets of boxes, one for voltage sensor indications, which are these, and the fault sensor indicators, which are in this box. Fault sensor indicators will be installed upon the bushings, or on the cables that are attached to the bushings when the bushings are assembled. The fault indicator will pass underneath the tank and it'll be mounted to the holes on the sill plates on the operator side of the gear. The voltage indication panel is mounted to these two studs, and then the wires are to be trained up along the tank wall across these cable ties, and these will again be mounted to the backside of the T-body cable adapters. Before operating the T&I 32 switchgear, verify that the SF6 pressure is in the green. Do not operate the switch if you cannot verify that the pressure gauge is within the green. This cover must be removed from around that gauge. The cover is there to protect the gauge during shipments. These are the operating mechanisms for the load break switches. There are 3 load break switches in a T&I 32 and 1 fault interrupting way. So we have a source 1, source 2, and a load. These are the viewing windows for viewing the contact position. You can shine a light through one window to see the contacts or the position for the other. You want to view the closed position from this window, so you would shine your light through this window. To view the open or grounded positions, you view through this window and shine your light into this one. After you make determinations on the other side of the switchgear, apply your elbows. You will want to close the mechanism. This tool is provided with the gear. It has a one direction that does not operate and one direction that it will operate. To change the direction of operation of the tool, we need to wiggle and then flip, and now this will operate in this direction and not this direction. The intent of this is when we go from an open position to a closed position and we accidentally close into a fault, we cannot immediately open the switch. A load break switch is not intended to interrupt fault. This mechanism, this breakaway handle on the operator prevents us from doing that. Once the mechanism is closed, we have an internal PT. That internal PT will provide power through this cable into the low voltage enclosure. Once we are within the low voltage enclosure, we'll need to turn on the power by flipping the switch. That will provide AC power to all the circuitry within, and we will need to also install our batteries, and the power supply will charge the batteries and provide secondary power. The relay will take a moment or two to boot up. Close source 2, simply do the same. I force until it clicks. The speed at which I'm rotating the mechanism is independent of the speed at which the mechanism itself will close. We are simply applying pressure to springs. When those springs get to over 60-degree torque, then they will release, the latch will release, and the mechanism will close essentially on its own. So, load break mechanisms, fault interrupting mechanism. We will close the load break. This is how we close into the line. That closes all 3 load breaks. We store the handles on both sides of the operating side of the mechanism. This is for the fault interrupter mechanism. That will trip open the fault interrupter. The position indicator for the fault interrupter is in this window. If we want to close the mechanism, we need to reset it all the way down. Then when we come up and close, you will hear it close. So the fault interrupter after trip must be reset before you can close. Again, storage is inside the cabinet. There is an operating instruction manual shipped with each unit. After installation, that can be stored in this pocket. There's additional weather stripping available in that pocket also. Fitting the SEL 451 on this unit is very simple. It has the ability to meter one way. So if we go to metering, the line, we will see our current metering. That is the only value that will appear here after the external CTs are installed. The unit can be manually tripped from here. A trip will cause an alarm to show up here for the units that are shipped with the factory test program. This needs to be cleared to allow for the way to be tripped again on the next operation. If this alarm is active while the unit is closed, you will not be allowed to manually trip the mechanism. Once you clear that alarm, you can manually trip the mechanism. It is very important. It contains a lot of the information that tells you what the rating of the gear is, how to use it, or what voltage level to use it on. Provides serial number, catalog number, and that information is very important to G&W. If you need to ask us questions regarding this gear, please have this information available.